Hey guys, Matt, IronTrap Garage. Today we're back working on the Mercury project again. We are hitting you with a lot of these videos because I'm going to try and get this chop project finished pretty quickly if possible. So last time we got the roof back on the car with all the metal cut out and just got a tack welded in place. Got the windshield opening raised 1 inch and tacked in place, and all the shapes kind of going the way it should, and we're ready to start moving forward. So what I'm going to work on in this video is getting the A-pillar basically finish welded. We're going to work on this big long weld I have to do across the whole face of the or forehead of the roof, and then we're going to start working on making the panels for over the rear window, and then also the catwalk underneath of the rear window. So we're going to work on making those pieces and get them kind of shaped, and hopefully start getting more of the roof kind of going back together and not in 10 different pieces. That's the goal. So we get over the hump of the really scary part where the roof's off and everything's in 1,000 pieces, and that's hopefully where we're going to be by the end of this video or close to it. So we'll see what happens. We're just going to show a handful of days work on this thing and making some big progress before we end the video. So let's get started. All right, for anybody that missed the last video, we welded in, we raised this windshield opening up 1 inch. So when we chopped this, we ended up sliding the windshield opening up 1 inch, and what that does is keeps the windshield proportional. The other thing we did is Steve made these wooden patterns or bucks or whatever you want to call it for the windshield, and basically we were, number one, we were checking to make sure that the windshield opening was symmetrical. I ended up putting some little cuts in each side to just bring this area in so that the line in the windshield opening lined up. The other thing, I copied this idea from another builder that I saw was doing this on a Mercury, and I thought it was a really good idea because by making this pattern, he made they're like sandwich boards. So there's one on the inside, I know it's hard to tell, and one on the outside, pretty thick material. So when you bolt this together and screw it together, it sandwiches the pinch welds of the windshield opening together and make sure that they're on the same plane. A big thing with doing chops that you see cars and horror stories over the years is that people are too quick to weld it back together. Windshield opening isn't square or on the same plane, and then they go to put a windshield in and the windshield cracks, where they have problems with the windshield fitting. So wanted to make sure that I took my time and did that. So Steve took a bunch of time and made patterns, cut this all out, sanded it, everything, got it all fitting so that it sits down, you can kind of see here, down in the recess on the pinch weld on both sides. So by sandwiching that together, that made sure that everything was on the same plane. That got this piece here that I had totally cut out. It forced it to be in the right angle and everything to match the bottom half that is fixed in the car still. So got that all in, and then we kind of hammered and dollied as we tacked it. So that was the real hard part. Welding it up is the quick part because now everything fits. It's just, I just got to weld and hammer and dolly and planish. So that's the big job I have going first, and then we'll start working on addressing the back portion. You can see this has a lot of shape to it right here of the original roof section. Now that we've laid the rear window down, we need more of a shallow, for lack of a better term, shape here. So we need to make a panel over the rear window that's going to have less shape and is going to more match what's up further up on the roof here, so that everything kind of flows from the side profile. You don't get like a big bubble right in front of the rear window. So that's the plan. I'm going to fire the welder up and get to work. got the windshield opening all welded. I know a lot of times people ask about seeing this stuff before you sand it, so I figured I'd show it. So A-pillar, let's see, welded all up through. Tried to keep the distortion to a minimum. Luckily, this has got some curvature to it, a lot of strength because of the pinch weld area, so you don't have to be quite as worried. This little area here, I got to hammer up a little bit. This is where I punched out on the punch over there, a circle, a 1-inch circle, and half of it was still showing, so I cut it down and fit it in there. Oh crap, I got a hole I gotta fill. Gotta fill that hole there, Quico hole. But that I gotta hammer up a little bit. It has a little bit of a peak to it, and we're bringing these shapes together, so I'm gonna have to raise it up a little bit into here to make it all blend. But everything else welded up pretty good. I can't complain considering I did it the way I don't really like, where I cut it with the cutoff grinder, and everything welded up pretty good. We're not going for stack of dimes when we're welding sheet metal. We're just trying to get really good penetration of the sheet metal and make sure that we don't have any major pinholes or anything. Of course, you sometimes get them, so I have to go back and check that. I'll show you guys. Let me grab my light. All right, had to get the lights set up there so you can see on the back side. Trying to get my camera close. Getting good penetration. I ran it. Try and run the welder as hot as I can and as fast to get 100% penetration through there, so that when we're sanding our weld down, trying to metal finish it, it actually, you know, we have a full penetration of weld, so we're not sanding the weld off and it breaks later on. So that all looks pretty good, and then eventually we can take our wood out here once I get that all run with a planishing hammer, just to see how it looks. So got some sanding and planishing, and then we'll take the wood out and see what the window opening looks like. actually shapes it 360 degrees when you're rolling it, but how you put it in the wheel will determine which way it does more. So the wheel is like this, so it's going to curve more that way. So we're going to put it long ways like this, because when we measured it with our gauge, you know, we were checking for that. So actually, I want to check it. You want to hold the piece kind of straight, and you're going to support the ends. And then what I do is you kind of, like we're going to step, you'll step, try not to walk, you just try and take one step away, and then back. And then you just let me steer. And you're just kind of holding the piece to support it level. I won't roll it under your fingers. You can just give me a little pressure when it gets close to your hand. So we're just doing like practice run here. Try and keep your panel level with the wheel, not pulling up, just level. Because if you let it droop, it'll take that shape over time. It's even harder for Mike and I, because he's way taller than me, so he's always like pulling up. And you're a little bit taller than I am, so it's a perfect world here. Two people are the same height. So I have just mild pressure on it, trying to just smooth the panel out and get a little shape. And I'll show you when we get a little further how you steer. So I'm doing zigzags back and forth. So just at the end. So at the end I go like that, just a little bit, not that much. You want to overlap your, you want to almost overlap your, the tighter you can get it together, the better it'll be. But the goal is to be as controlled and smooth as possible, because if you go fast and you have big overlaps, it's like missing a spot when you mow the lawn. You have area that's not stretched, and then it'll be all highs and lows in the panel. Oh boy. All right. Felt the roof just pop. It was holding all that tension up that it wanted to be too much shape in it. It didn't want to. All this was holding so much shape that it was had the roof kind of in a bind. No, I think it was. It's just that this had so much shape in it. It was so strong. It was from this. Like, yeah, it was pulling it all. All right, so I've been working on this section above the rear window. Evan and I wheeled it up initially, which we showed in the video there. Shrunk the edges just a tiny bit. And then we ended up just wheeling it up just a little bit more, and we're getting the flow we want here. So what I ended up doing is cutting a little more of the roof away because it was holding everything up. So we basically cut out, there was a section like over here a little bit that we cut out more, and then we ended up going pretty much from, we just left a strip in the center here, and we went across like this to up to here, and then across here. So what it did is when I finally made that last cut, the roof kind of like, not pop, but just boom, and everything kind of fell into place, and you could tell that the tension from having this piece clamped to the rear window to this, the roof had, in this area, which we knew, had too much shape to it because it originally went like straight down, and it was holding it up. So as soon as I cut those pieces out, it let the tension go, and everything started fitting better. And then we just ran it in the wheel one more time to get the center just pumped up a little bit. And it's starting to get a pretty good flow there of the roof. Now the one thing to mention is it's a little, there's still, the roof seems a little high here, but there's 3 layers of metal here. There's the little strip I left of the original roof section that's laying there, and then it's our new panel, and then we also have this metal around the rear window where we cut it. So that will all, when I butt weld it, will all kind of drop down and fall in line. But overall, also Evan and I set the laser up and got the rear window centered in the car. It was pretty close, but it wasn't dead on, so we had to move that around just a little bit. So we got all that set up, but we're not worried about these edges here that are just hanging over. That mess is gonna all, we're gonna do the same thing when we do these sail panels. I'm gonna build them big, let them overhang, and then where everything kind of matches the best, that's where we'll scribe it and cut it. That's what's happening under the rear window here. There's like a little area up in here where the metal that we're gonna cut off doesn't quite line up, but where it touches right here, it's all laying nice and flat. So that's where we'll cut it, tack it, weld it, always butt weld. And so I'm gonna get that all tacked in place, cleat it back into the car, and then we can start working on this panel here where we're gonna flow that into the trunk lid. But you can see it's raised off the trunk just a little bit there, and that's what we had to do to start getting that angle for the rear window to match. So we're gonna work on this transition right here next. so got the roof section, the rear roof section, rear window section, whatever you want to call it, clecoed back into the car. In the last handful of shots, I was tack welding that catwalk transition, for lack of a better term, that went under the rear window. Not to get into it too heavy, but that panel was really, really difficult. Reverse curve like that is one of the scariest metal shaping things for me personally, because it's really hard to understand what you need to do. I've done some smaller transitions, but this one is 42 inches long or 40 inches long, and it has this basically reverse curve has a curvature where the transition of the roof meets the catwalk area. Then it also left to right has curvature, and you're making almost like a flange, or like if you break a 90, almost think of it like that. This bottom part of the flange has a different curvature ever so slightly than up at the rear window. It just has a little less curvature up at the rear window than it does down on the original catwalk. So you have to kind of read the panel, and I got it really, really close earlier in the video before I welded it, and then it was one of those typical things. I had to run to an appointment, and I was just going to do one quick little thing, and the thing just turned into a potato chip because I went and I forget what I did. It stretched too much or something. Can't even remember anymore. And I then proceeded to chase my tail for an hour or two to get the panel back into shape. Realistically, I probably should have just thrown it in the trash and started over, because I have a bunch of planishing and marks and scarring, not scarring, but marks from when I was trying to planish it and stretch, that I put some little marks in the panel, and I sat down and planished some of them out by hand. But the difficult thing I was running into is because the panel wasn't welded into the car, it was kind of hard to read what was going on. So I got it really, really close, finally, after chasing my tail. And then you saw I tack welded into the rear window on the fender stand. It actually went pretty well, so the shape was very, very close, because I didn't have to like crazy twist it or pull it or put a shit ton of clamps on it. It kind of just flowed together, which was nice. But it does need a bunch more hammer and dolly and planishing and everything like that to get it a little bit smoother. This is an area that I may not be able to get to very good once it's fully welded to the car. So I definitely want to, we're going to end the video here with everything tacked and seeing the flow. But I definitely need to spend some time and refine those panels a little bit. But I went back and just got this, this curve right here where this transition is. I wanted to make sure that I had a nice soft curvature there and not sharp. Some of the cars that you see that old school, a lot of them that were done, and even some cars that are done now, this line right here in the back around the roof is really, really sharp, and it just looks like they, kind of like the factory where they, even though they chopped and laid the rear window back, it kind of just looks like a sharp transition, and there's a really defined line. I wanted more of a softer line that kind of flows. Think of like a Zephyr or something like that has, where it's just more of a flowing line there instead of some sharp transition. Some people will just weld the roof right to the catwalk, and then they'll grind the shit out of the weld, MIG weld it, and create that curve, that radius. Or, back in the day, they would take a crap ton of lead and let it in, and that worked too. But this was the thing I was doing. Most importantly, to remind everybody, I'm trying to challenge myself. So this, that panel in particular is something that is the largest reverse curve I've ever done, and it's very challenging to me. That's why I do all this stuff. I say it over and over again. People give me crap in the comments that I kind of talk down on myself, but I am very much, in my eyes, a beginner, and I'm still learning. So a lot of this stuff, even though I may be better than some other people, there's always people better than you, and that's why I kind of talk like I do and talk down sometimes. But I'm very happy with getting everything to flow. The look is good, and in the next video, we're going to start working on some of the sail panel stuff, which is also going to be very difficult. The one thing I have to kind of figure out, and we may sort of figure it out in between the next video, is this C-pillar area. I have to decide if I want to stretch that out. Some people, when they chop them nowadays, will cut out the gutter area there, drill the spot welds out, and they'll like unbend this radius here and make it a little softer so it flows back and kind of matches everything. I'm trying to decide if I want to do that or not, or if it's I don't know yet, so I have to stare at it like this whole thing and just kind of decide what I'm doing, because this is the first time I've chopped the 3940 Merc, and I don't really know what the best, it probably takes 5 or 10 of these things to really figure out the the best way to do everything, like anything. So that's all I have for this one. Hope you guys appreciate it, and you're liking the videos that we're doing in smaller chunks. We're trying to give people who have been complaining about not having enough technical videos. This is technical as it gets, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. Let me know in the comments what you think of how everything's shaping up on the Mercury, and we're gonna have a handful more videos of these. I'm just gonna keep hitting it till I get this thing back together and looking more like a car. So thank you guys for following, appreciate it. Catch you later.